Paula with Hillbilly Orchids. Welcome back to my channel. I hope everybody's having a fantastic week. We are back at Phal Friday, so yeah. Time to talk about the Phalaenopsis again, guys. I just wanted to give you guys all a little update. I'm still pushing on. I'm still pushing the fight. I'm still pretty exhausted. I don't know if I wound up catching a bug, flu bug or something, along with, the facts of being drained when I got home. It just took, a way lot longer than it should have for me to recover from, just 2 days away. So, yeah, oddly enough, I'm still fighting the good fight. So, yeah, I last weekend was watering weekend, and it was really a lot to get through. I really struggled, although I couldn't wait to get my hands on my plants. It's just when you water every other week, in that week that you don't touch them, there's so much things that goes on, and you miss it. You really do. I do. Like I said, I thoroughly enjoy having these plants in my hands, looking at them, seeing if they're growing a new leaf, seeing if they're growing roots, see if their roots are branching, see if their media is still good, see if they need, a repot. It's always great to have them in hand and look at those things that, of reading your plant and telling what that plant needs. Might not need anything. Everything you're doing for it might be perfect. It might be, getting exactly what it needs, and it's growing great. So, chances are many of them won't need a thing. So, but, getting them in hand and looking them over just really tells you so much about what's going on with the plant. So, but yeah, back to, the fact that, getting through the weekend, it got back to being colder again as well. So that was, like, oh, come on. I was, my weeping cherries in bloom out in the front yard, and it's so big and full and beautiful. And 2 nights we went down to, it was only supposed to be one night too, but 2 nights we got down to 29, and it was very cold, and I was afraid it was going to burn the tree. And I think it did a little bit. I know my daffodils got burnt a little bit, and yeah, it was just too early for us to be as warm as it was. And then I knew we were going to drop back to cold because it was just too soon. We were not going to stay warm enough. So it would definitely affect, our plants that were already in bloom outside. So, yeah, but anyways, so I've just been, really pushed through to get through the weekend, tried to sleep as much as I could when I could, and get rested up. I even, actually went back to, buying protein drinks to see if, I could pull myself up out of this slump because, I just feel really drained, really drained. And those of you that know me, I'm sure you could probably tell in my voice that I'm still drained. I am fighting allergies, which allergies just get the better of you. Of course, when those blooms come out outside, and everybody's cutting grass too, and of course I'm allergic to the grass. So, all of that stuff does keep me down a little bit in the spring. And it's a little bit of a transition, but yeah. So anyways, I think maybe that might be partially what I'm dealing with. But this week, when I got into, watering the phals and checking everybody out, I did want to say, I think I had mentioned it in the weekend walk around, that definitely with Phalaenopsis blooms or any orchid blooms, use caution when you're spraying things for bugs, things for pests, because I did, because of the fact I wasn't feeling good, I did kind of sling around the alcohol, oil, and soap, and those will kill a bloom faster than anything, that mixture. So you can't get it on buds, you can't get it on flowers. It will kill them, and it's, it shortens the lifespans. Phalaenopsis flowers can last months. Some people even are like, this kills me. This is absolutely a myth, 100% a myth. But they're like, oh, my plant's been in bloom for 6 months. I don't think I'm gonna cut the spike and make it take a rest. No, don't do that. Please don't do that. No, that's, you don't ever cut the spike unless it's dead, brown, dead. That's the only time you leave that spike. Other than that, if you're afraid that, it's been in bloom too long, feed it a little bit more. Don't cut its nutrients away from it. You know what I mean? I hope that makes sense. If you cut the nutrients away from the plant, then, you're just taking from the plant. It's not, if it wants to bloom, it's going to bloom again. It'll make a spike and it'll come back up and bloom again. And 9 times out of 10, if you cut that spike, that's exactly what it'll do. So don't ever cut a fresh bloom of, spikes thinking that this plant needs a rest. If you think that, then just up the feed. Don't ever cut a spike. Don't ever cut a spike unless it's brown, unless it's dead brown. But I was reading too as well, speaking of the spikes, last week, Rick L, he just got on and he watched my Phal Friday last week, and where we talked about the spikes, and he made mention, and I do feel it's really, a good thing to mention, and I'm going to pin that comment to the top of that video so that everybody can see it. He wanted to make sure, too, that to reiterate to everybody that phals use more potassium when under lower than ideal light conditions. So if you're increasing the potassium, then you need to increase the nitrogen too. Or, if you're, they kind of go hand in hand. So try to keep them, pretty close to one another in parts per million. If you're going to do 50 parts per million nitrogen, then use 50 parts per million potassium. Just try to keep it, as close as you can. It doesn't have to be spot on or anything, but yeah, definitely. But he did make a good, and that is, when they're in less than ideal conditions, when you got them in that, kind of dark corner, that is another myth that does not true at all, that they'll grow in dark corners. No, but if they, if you don't have them in optimal light conditions, they will use more potassium. They do need more potassium in that kind of a type of a situation. So, but like I said, he did mention that in the last one, and I thought I would bring it up this time, and I will. Like I said, I don't think I pinned it yet, but I will pin it. But yeah, this was what happens when you spray the alcohol soap too close to blooms. So, I was in a hurry because I didn't feel good. So definitely keep your. I believe 7's one that it won't harm buds or blooms. So some won't, but unless you've actually messed with them, they generally don't spray anything on your buds and blooms besides water. If you see some pests on your buds and blooms, take them under the hose and spray them with your sprayer pretty good, and that way you can, rinse off most of the bugs that are on them. It's a little harder than what an actual rain would, have. And so far, the update, we'll do a little update. This is kind of a mishmash talk. We're talking a little bit about the spikes. We're talking a little bit about the nutrients. I've told you guys when they are putting out a new leaf, you increase the feed. That's a definite given. Let me see. Let me get this little girl. This one's got spikes and buds coming out all over. I gotta be cautious. But yeah, this one's doing everything. This one's got a new leaf. It's got this new spike, and buds are forming on that spike. I have not potted this one in tree fern yet. This one's still in moss, but I will. Her old spikes are progressing with some blooms, buds. It's making buds on the old spikes, which is nice. So, but yeah, I was telling you that the tree fern is working really well. I am extremely enthused with the tree fern. I actually used all of what I had, and I'm purchasing more. I have it coming this week, actually, because I bought like 2.5 gallons, and I've used it all already. I've repotted several Phals, and look at what response I'm getting. The minute I turn it over to tree fern. Now I did mix it with a little bit of small bark, as you can see, and charcoal, and a little bit of oyster shell grit, and just things for drainage type situation. But look at that. I just repotted her. What day did I repot her? Did I write it on the tag? I did her on 310, and look at that, 310, and it's maybe a month ago, just about a month, and look at that response. I mean, that's incredible. That's when you look into a plant and you're like, okay, I had it in moss, but this plant is totally happy now. Totally happy. Look at that. Look at that root underneath of there. Can you see that one too? Like there's a root under that one. This plant loves this tree fern. So, yeah, absolutely amazing. And she's putting out a new leaf, which means this one gets a little bit more feed. This one, she'll get fed. I will feed her every week. It's not that I'm increasing her food, but she's getting fed every week. So in that instance, she is getting her feed increased. So that is helpful. This gorgeous little, see if I can reach it here. Hopefully I didn't get in the way of the camera. I didn't mean to block you guys or anything. This is the gorgeous little super zebra, golden zebra. Look at that nice new leaf. If I can get it in the center of the camera. I have you guys really zoomed in. But yeah, look at that new leaf. This was a stress leaf, you could tell, because it stayed really, really small. But then she grew this leaf, which was bigger and better. And now she's putting out another new leaf. But also, you can tell her roots are growing. And I know it's kind of hard to see on camera maybe, but you can see the green root tip on that. It's growing nicely, and that one you can definitely see the root tip. So this one's growing new roots as well in the tree fern, which means all things given, they definitely like the tree fern. So just a little bit of an update of some of these that are in tree fern. I did repot. Some of these are just redone. I just did them where is it? Oh, I just did this one just a few weeks ago. So this one hasn't really shown any. There is some signs of some roots coming. Can you see them? They're super tiny. If it's gonna focus, it's hard to pull back a little bit. That's a little bit better. This is that Lulin Blue Jenny crossed with Phal Blue Jewel that I got from Michael. So I figured it was time to get her in tree fern because she was losing leaves, and I had her in a moss, but she obviously wasn't liking it so well. So I thought, well, I'm going to jump her up to this tree fern, and she kept her spike, which it's hard to tell whether she'll progress with that or not, but that's okay. I want her to worry about growing a new leaf now and growing some new roots for me. But yeah, so basically the tree fern is doing really well, especially I mixed it with the oyster shell grit. So like I said, it's definitely a thing that you want to mix so that you can help keep that pH good. So, but that's kind of it for this Phal Friday talk. Just like I said, a little update on everything and how everybody's doing, and a few little things to reiterate that, try to keep your potassium and your nitrogen close to the same. I'm pretty much so running everything 1 to 1 to 1. Like, my Jack's 2 parts 1 to 1. The potassium, I'm trying to keep it pretty close to, because it does affect the pH. So I can't go real crazy with it and really lower my pH past what is optimal for these guys to absorb their nutrients. So you do have to watch that. But, you run it as close as you can. So, but if y'all have any questions, please feel free to leave them in the comments. And if you could give me a thumbs up, I would really appreciate it. If you could share it, that would be amazing. If you could, if you like my content, you can stick around and subscribe to my channel. I have a paid subscription. I do have a free subscription as well. If you would like to give me a tip and pay a super thanks to my channel for support and help me go forward with things, that would be awesome. I would really appreciate it. If you can't do that, if just watching the ads really, really helps, guys. It really does. And I really appreciate it. I really do. You guys, like I've said 100 times, you guys are tremendous about watching my ads. And I can tell, and I really appreciate it. I really do. Really, really. Thank you so much. So with that said, I do appreciate each and every one of you beautiful, wonderful people stopping by and hanging out with me. And bye for now, y'all. Till we meet again.